It's March. This is Demetris and a splash of Fanta on this Thursday, March the 4th, 2021. Here we go. This is Money Time. I'm John Fanta. He is Demetris Nichols. Demetris, you know about this time of year. And you know what? It's like a tradition, man, over these last couple years. March arrives, the calendar turns, and like that thoroughbred down the stretch on the track, here comes Jim Boeheim.
Listen, you can never count him and his team out. For the past couple of years, they've been the bubble team or one of the bubble teams to watch, and they're just getting it done. You know, they've won their last two games. You know, everyone in the world probably thought that they were going to lose to Clemson last night and lose to North Carolina a couple of nights before that. And they're just, you know, this is a total different team from a month ago. These guys are playing great defense. They're playing as a unit. It can be anyone's night from Alan Griffin, Buddy Boeheim. Last night it was Alan Griffin's night. He had 22 points. Buddy had 17. But it can be anyone's night. You know, all these guys can play really, really well, and they're just coming together at the right time. It's just good to see that these guys are playing when it counts. You know, this is March Madness. It's time to play. It's time to smell the popcorn. It's money time. And they put themselves back in the conversation of being in that bubble. You know, they lead the team. They lead the ACC in scoring. They lead the ACC in steals, playing in that crazy, beautiful zone. And everyone talks about, oh, does it work or not? This team leads the league in steals, so it definitely works. And you know, they're just playing great right now. You know, what do you think?
Yeah, this team is right now. I mean, they're right there. They're right on that bubble. And when I look at them, I see a team that, like you just said, defensively 2-3 is patented, and the dynamic of Alan Griffin and Buddy Boeheim and what they've been able to find, to your point, like Syracuse they've got it. And if you look at their resume, their net jumps up to 51 after the win over Clemson. Mm-hmm. And they are 1-6 against quad one. You'd like to see them get an additional Q1 or two Q1 results, but they're 4-1 against quadrant two. They're 7-1 against quadrant three. They have no quadrant four losses. They don't have any major blemishes. They've gone through pauses. They've gone through some of that stuff that we've seen this COVID season. They are playing it again. Calendar turns and it's Boeheim time. It just is, and they look like a team against Clemson, and have looked like a team against others that belongs in the field. They do.
Mind you, they're 9-7. Top leagues in college basketball. They're 15-8 overall. They, you know, like we mentioned, they just beat two teams that everyone thought that they were going to lose to.
Yep.
They have a better record, and I don't want to, you know, but they have a better record than Duke right now. And Duke is supposedly being on the bubble, but
they're not a tournament team.
No,
Duke, if Duke makes the tournament, I'm going to be. But I'm literally. I'm done with the net. I'm done with it, because that would be nothing short of brand name.
Right.
Syracuse appears to have earned more to me than Duke.
For sure. And they beat VTech by 18 when VTech was top 16 in the country.
Sure.
They didn't play Louisville. They didn't play Florida State because of the whole global pandemic. But that was just another missed opportunity for these guys to try to get a win. As of right now, I think they're like the next four out. But I think they should be the next four in. You know, they're playing a lot more confident, and they understand. So like, it took this team a while to get it. Let's be honest. It took this team a while to get defensively. These guys are moving as the ball is being passed in the air. They're making the zone look quick. Clemson is one of the best defensive half-court teams in the country. They allow teams about 60, 61 points per game. And they were up 16 points last night. Like, they made it easy looking playing against Clemson at home. And, you know, just like you mentioned in the beginning of the show, Jim Boeheim knows how to get his team ready to play.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just beautiful to see. I'm very, very proud to be an Orangeman, and I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen in the ACC tournament because, anything can happen. Anything can happen because it's not always about how good you are on paper. It's also about timing, and it's about, who's ready to play at the right time. And, Syracuse over the past couple of years, Syracuse history is always seems to play well when it counts. So, and maybe I'm being biased because I'm an Orange fan.
No, here they come.
Great.
I got all my Newhouse friends.
Yeah.
They're all going crazy now. They're all fired up. This is Q's time. Yeah. It's money time. It's Bayhan time. Okay, on today's show, we are going to give you 5 things, our 5 things that we cannot wait to see this March.
Yeah.
So if you're just joining the sport, if you've been watching the sport all season long, we picked our 5 top things. We're going to break them down. It's almost like if you wanted a Reader's Digest version of here's what you've missed this season, here's what we can't wait to see, and this is what you should be ready for as the big dance approaches. And by the way, follow us at the Field of 68. We are presented by Bet Rivers as well. So Demetris, let's get started with this list.
What you got?
Number 1 for you. What are you most looking forward to this March? Number 1.
I'm looking forward to see Michigan. I mean, even though they lost against Illinois, but I'm interested to see how deep this team could go because they have the full package. I mean, obviously, you have to get punched in the face sometimes. And, just like Baylor, everyone has their night. And when they played against Illinois, that was their night. Even if it was at home, that was their night. But what Juwan Howard has done for this team, what he has installed in these young men is the championship mindset. He stresses everyday improvement. He stresses being perfect, completing the play. They play for each other. You can tell that this team plays for each other. They play with spirit, and they're always locked in. They have a balanced breakfast over there, starting with Hunter Dickerson, 7 foot, 255 pounds freshman, who's averaging 15 and 8. This guy, he should be a top 10 pick coming out of college. I mean, he's great touch around the basket. He's finishing in traffic. He doesn't just lay the ball up. He's dunking on people in traffic. This guy was just in high school last year, and he's making it look easy. Franz Wagner is a good shooter. The Isaiah Livers of the world who came back to school. He could have went to the league last year, but he came back to school, which was one of the best decisions he ever made.
Yeah, I love watching him play.
He's averaging 14 and 6, so shooting 46% from the 3-point line. So this team is very, very unique because they can beat you inside and out. And I didn't even mention the point guard and Mike Smith, who basically, put his scoring abilities on the shelf and said, you know what, I'm going to be a distributor. You know what, I'm going to get these guys open. And you talk about the Eli Brooks, the Chaney Browns, the Austin Davis, those seniors who have bought into the system. It's just a beautiful thing to watch. Beautiful thing to watch. This team shoots 40% from the 3. They play individual and team defense. They take care of the ball. They take and make good shots. And they're playing for a coach that is teaching them how to play with purpose. So I'm looking forward to seeing Michigan State and how far they can go.
Yeah, Juwan Howard would be my national coach of the year. This was a Michigan team with some question marks. When we were talking about the Big Ten in the preseason, we were talking about Illinois, Wisconsin, Iowa was at the top of that conversation.
Yeah.
And we weren't sure what exactly we were going to see from Michigan. It's why they were just inside the end of the top 25 in the preseason. But I'm going to counter that here as part of the Big Ten package. If there's one thing, if you've been following the sport all season long, or if you haven't been this season, the Big Ten has been the league in terms of depth, in terms of compelling matchups, in terms of it's been outstanding. So my number 1 thing is Illinois.
Yeah.
I can't wait to watch Illinois play in March Madness because they give me March Madness vibes when I watch them play now, Demetris.
Yeah, I know.
This team, what they did to Michigan earlier this week, every other coach that plays Michigan should look at that film and watch what Brad Underwood's team did.
Without their same player.
Ayo Dosunmu, without Ayo Dosunmu. And that's what I love about Illinois. They play with swagger. Kofi Cockburn, if I'm stuck in an alley and need his help, if I'm stuck in an alley and need anyone's help, I'm calling on him.
Yeah,
and he is taking anybody in my tracks down because I sure as hell aren't. Kofi Cockburn, I would not want to step in his tracks. He's a man possessed.
Yeah.
Trent Frazier, I love the way that this kid plays. I thought we saw it in the win at Indiana earlier this year.
Mm-hmm.
He just found ways to make big time shots. Andre Curbelo is such an entertaining freshman. As much as it can go a little bit, a little bit topsy-turvy.
He's a freshman, though. That's normal.
He's a freshman.
Okay. Yeah,
he's a freshman. And when he's playing this way, we're talking national championship.
Yeah.
We are talking national championship. In fact, I'm going to get on this train. I believe Illinois can win it all. I really do. I don't think that it was a fluke earlier this week against Michigan. And Ayo is the total package of a player, elite finisher. There's Ayo time is a real thing. And Ayo time at Hinkle Fieldhouse, if it happens, is going to happen. In Illinois, Illinois is my number one thing that I'm looking forward to this March. They are at the top of my list. They give me 2005 vibes. I can't wait. I am buying what's happening in Champaign.
Now, they have a nice balanced breakfast up there. They have a guy that's probably Mr. Triple-Double. He can, at any given night, he can get a triple-double. And we talked about the big fella who can protect you in the alley. And they just do a good job of having a balance. They play fast. My only thing with Illinois, what's going to happen when the game slows down, right? What's going to happen when they stop that 1-2 punch and that pick and roll between Cockburn and the young fella? So are they
That's where Frazier making shots is huge. That's where Frazier's got to make weak side threes. Yep.
That's huge. So that's my question over them. But are they entertaining? Yes, they are. But we all know that the NCAA is all about timing. Like, it's all about
I like their timing.
Who's not? I mean, they still have the conference tournament.
I know.
Things can happen. And speaking about timing, let's go to topic 2 or 3. I'm not sure which one we're on, but Villanova, they just lost their main guard,
Colin Gillespies. Yeah.
He's. What are they gonna do? So that's what I'm gonna. So that's my topic is, how is Villanova going to adjust losing a guy that averages 14 points per game, leads the team in assists, shoots almost 30% from the three. He's the coach out there on the court. So when Jay is on the sideline, he's that coach when they're playing 5-on-5. And, he's the second leading scorer in the game. And when he did get hurt, Brandon Slater came in, played well, had 11 points, but he only averages 15 minutes per game. But
no, there's no question. There is no question. Colin Gillespies, the heart and soul of Villanova. And by the way, this is heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking for us to watch. It's heartbreaking for everybody. I felt terrible for his family. I was gutted for his family on Wednesday night, on his senior night. This kid gets the NCAA tournament taken away from him last year, and now in his senior season, he gets hurt right before it. That is the worst case scenario I've ever seen for a player.
Timing, man. It's just like it's all about timing. So those guys like Jeremiah Robinson Earl, they're gonna have to step up and try to lead this team, because the only thing that I'm positive on about Villanova is that they have leadership and they have juniors and seniors. So Brandon Slater, even though he's a junior, he's been there for 3 years. He has experience
Never in this big of a role, but yes.
No, but you know what? He does shoot 50% from the 3. He shoots 59% from the 2. He only averaging 4 points, but now this opportunity is there. And one thing that we talk about in sports is and try to run with it and try to, win some games for Gillespie, because it's like you mentioned, it's so sad that had to happen on senior night. But congratulations to Villanova to winning another Big East championship. They make it look so easy.
They do, and that gets me to my number 2 thing that I'm most looking forward to in this March Madness, this March. I am looking forward to UConn. The Huskies are, in fact, back.
Yeah,
they have their best guard since the Napier, Kemba Walker type players in James Bouknight. He has elevated everyone around him. RJ Cole, the Howard transfer, has really picked up steam recently, and him and Bouknight are a dangerous 1-2 punch. UConn is the best defensive team in the Big East and one of the best defensive teams around in the sport. They are going to be one dangerous 9, 10, or 11 type of seed. We'll see where the committee goes with them, but this team is unquestionably, no doubt about it, an NCAA tournament team, and a dangerous one at that. We talked about them a couple weeks ago. I'm high on this team. I love the way that Adama Sanogo has come on recently. Had 16 points and 9 rebounds against Seton Hall. He controlled the game. He was the best player on the floor at times in that game on a team that Bouknight is a star scorer. I think that UConn can win the Big East tournament. In fact, they probably would be my pick if I had to submit a pick next week. I am that high on the Huskies right now, Demetris. They're playing like a top 25 team. They kind of go under the radar because they were not playing great when Bouknight was injured. He just makes everybody around him better. He is a great, great finisher, scorer, player. Dan Hurley, I love it. I love the way that he goes about his business. Some people hate it. I'm all in on this. I think that UConn is going to be a dangerous team in the NCAA tournament. And when the Huskies are good, it's good for college basketball. They are back.
That's what I was going to say. They belong in the NCAA tournament. They belong in the top tier of the Big East because they were part of the reason why the Big East is so good. The UConns, the Villanovas, the Syracuses, the St. John's, the Pittsburgh. So it's good to see that UConn is back where they belong, and Hurley is doing a great job. It took UConn a couple of years to get back on track, but it's good to see that they are doing really, really well. And, sky's the limit. They're going to get recruits. They're going to get, guys who want to come there because of that tradition, the UConn tradition, all the great players that played there. So I'm excited to see what these guys can do because I'm not sure when's the last time they've been to the NCAA tournament? Like it's been a while. So they're like starving to get back on that stage to make something happen. Speaking of stages,
go ahead.
Baylor versus West Virginia. That was a great game. That was an NCAA game.
Yep.
I am interested to see what these two teams are going to be able to do. And I don't want to play West Virginia. I don't want to play those 3 guards: Tad Sherman, Miles McBride, Sean McNeil, and then you
don't want to play Deuce McBride. No, I mean if there's 2 teams outside of like the top seeds in the tournament, the top meaning number 1, it would be West Virginia for me, and then it would be Texas Tech.
And we didn't even talk about Derek Culver. Big fella. Like this team is tough. Mm-hmm. They get to the basket. They can handle it. They're not going to back down, and you're going to have to beat them.
Throw them out. You got to score this year against them because they got a top 15 KenPom offense.
Exactly. You're going to have to take the game away from them. And if you don't take it away from them early, if you give them confidence early, it's a wrap.
Yeah.
And a Bob Huggins, Hall of Fame coach, he does a great job wherever he goes. And it's good to see that he's able to go back home and and coach these young men, guys who were underrated, guys who weren't highly recruited, and he's able to turn these guys around, not only on the court, but off the court. These guys have done well academically, and it's just good to see, a coach caring about his players as much as he does. Because when you get a coach that cares about you that much, players will run through the wall for you, and that's what you see every night when those guys go out there and play.
Yeah, I think that it's going to be interesting to see. I was asked this question earlier this week. If I gave you Gonzaga, Baylor, and Michigan, who do you think of those three will be eliminated first?
You know what? I would have to.
Or maybe you have all three in your Final Four, but you don't have a bracket in front of you.
Here's my thing with Gonzaga. The conference that they play in is.
I know, but they beat everybody early.
I know. That's the thing. They beat everybody early when the global pandemic was at its heights, where teams were trying to figure out, the system. How can we come together and get this thing rolling? Because they didn't have a preseason. Guys didn't travel to Europe to bond and create a culture, create a foundation. The teams that they beat in the beginning of the season are totally different teams now. That's just how I think. But the conference that they play in, and I'm not taking nothing away from Gonzaga. They're the number one team in the country. They deserve it. They beat who they beat. They are the top dog on the hill. I respect them. They do a great job. They have a great bench, great starting five. They play fast. They shoot threes. They have one of the best freshman slugs. That's probably going to be a top 5 pick, top 10 pick. But I'm concerned about they don't get tested enough. So like the Big 10, the Big 12, the ACC, you can lose any given night.
So you think that Gonzaga is the team that you now do not – because I asked a simple question.
I didn't say that. I said preparation, because all these other teams that play in these big conferences, they are prepared. They play in these huge.
And that's okay. That's okay. I think it's interesting. I think that that's a fair argument. I also just think Gonzaga has NBA players. That has proven itself on top of being experienced. Gonzaga has the whole package. They give me 2018 Villanova vibes. So okay. I think Michigan is the team that I think could end up losing out of those three first. And I can't believe I'm saying that. I think that Illinois exposed something out of them earlier this week.
What did they expose?
I think they had
a bad night. They had a bad night. You don't have bad nights?
They did have a bad night. Yeah, but you could have a bad night in the NCAA tournament, and I think that every coach is going to be looking at that tape saying, here's how I can beat Michigan. I think there's a formula that just came out on how to beat them. There is no formula. There's no formula to beat Gonzaga. Nobody's done it.
No, we haven't seen it yet, but they will be tested. They are going to be tested in the NCAA tournament like they haven't been before. We both know it's not how good you are in the regular season. It's about who's hot that night. So how many times has a 1 seed lost to a 8 seed or a 9 seed or a 4 seed? So anything can happen for this Gonzaga team. So let me ask you this question. If they don't win a national championship, is that a bust? Is that a –
Yeah.
No. So now the pressure's on them. Let's do it.
Put that slipper on, man. I can't wait to watch the Cinderellas. I think this year we got 12, 13s, 14s again that are going to pull off upsets. Here's why. Pandemic year, all over the place. It's a crapshoot. If you're a 4, 5, 6 seed against 11, 12, 13, please throw the seedings out. If a team matches up a certain way, they're going to win. Belmont is 26-3. 26-3 out of the Ohio Valley Conference. We saw John Morant light the NCAA tournament on fire a couple years ago. I don't think there's enough people talking about them. If Belmont comes on the OVC, I like them to pull off a first-round upset. I love the Missouri Valley again. Arch Madness is real. The winner of this league is going to be really dangerous, Demetris. Drake has had an amazing year.
Yeah.
Credit to Coach DeVries. We've talked about him and what he's done. How about Loyola Chicago? I was just looking at this. Is Sister Jean going to be back in the NCAA tournament? If she is, here's why they're dangerous. They have 7 players averaging 7 or more points a game.
That can go.
Porter Moser's done it again with balance.
Yep.
It's not just one man. It reminds me of the team a couple years ago. Not Final Four-like, but I like the makeup of them. And I think when you know how you've made a tournament run before, Cameron Krutwig is still on this team from a couple years back. He's been their lead scorer. I love his game. I think he's a first-class type of kid that knows what it takes to win. The winner of the Missouri Valley is going to be fascinating here. Loyola Chicago and Drake fighting for it this upcoming week. I think we're going to see an MVC team pull off an upset. As well, already we've seen, how about the Horizon League tournament? 4 quarterfinal games that were downright crazy. Are my Cleveland State Vikings going to pull it off? They're the top seed. Wright State got knocked out. CSU won in triple overtime over Fort Wayne. Dennis Gates has done an amazing job. He coached under Leonard Hamilton down at Florida State. The point being, whether it's Cleveland State, Belmont, Drake, Loyola Chicago, I'll pull out a couple others. UC Santa Barbara this year and Toledo out of the MAC. Watch out for them. We're going to see 12s and 13s win. We could see all 11s beat all 6s. I'm here for the anarchy. We missed it all last year. And in a crapshoot year like this, we're going to see more of those types of upsets. The top will prevail. I still think the 1 seeds and the 2 seeds are going to be the ones you see in the Final Four. But I think we are going to see opening weekend teams, double-digit seeds, make it to the second weekend. 2 or 3 of them really make some noise. I really believe that.
You know what these teams have in common, as you were giving your nice breakdown, is these players on these teams that you just mentioned, all these guys, all of them, the majority of them, they all have a chip on their shoulder.
For sure.
All of these guys have been left out behind. Those guys were ranked 100, 200, 300, 400. And those guys, they go into the gym every day with a chip on their shoulder. Guys like that are dangerous because they know they have nothing to lose and everything to gain. So I like underdogs because I believe part of me, a piece of me is an underdog. And I know what it takes to get to the top of the mountain. I know what it takes to be doubted and prove people wrong. And that's what these mid-major teams do. They shock people, they prove people wrong, and they play with heart. You got to have heart when you're not being looked at the top players in the country. And you got to have a chip on your shoulder if you want to make it on the team and prove people wrong. These guys have been fighting their whole life in the age. So I agree with you. There are going to be a lot of upsets. And another point, these players, even though they not getting the same recognition as the top schools and the top teams and the top programs or the top rankings, these guys are catching up. There's not a gap. You mentioned John Morant. This guy was a mid-major, and now he's in the NBA.
Oh, yeah. Well,
one of the best guards in the league.
Yep.
There are some hidden gems.
For sure.
Roses in these mid-major schools, and I love to see these guys play whenever the tournament comes around because they make a name for themselves. And you can see the hard work and the dedication and the blood, sweat, and tears that these guys put into the game every single night. So kudos to the mid-majors.
Kudos to the mid-majors. I think we're going to see them emerge, as we often do, but I think it's going to feel different this year.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I cannot wait for conference championship week. It was the tragic week last year. So I've brought up Illinois and Io. Number 2, I'm just retracing UConn. So we talked Iowa and Illinois, UConn, Cinderellas. My number 4 is Deuce McBride in West Virginia, which you brought up yourself. I'm excited for Huggy Bear. I think this could be one of, if not his best West Virginia team. And then number 5 for me, I go back to Luka Garza. When we see a senior pour everything out. And Iowa, as much as their defense has been questioned, I think they're starting to show some signs that it's all will. It all comes from here. Yeah. And I think Iowa's got some flaws, but we almost look at the flaws of them because we have such high expectations. It's still a team that's going to find themselves in a Sweet 16 or Elite 8 game, I think. Like we saw a couple years ago when Virginia was playing Purdue and Carson Edwards, and they just refused to lose, but Virginia still found a way to win. So I think Garza is still going to be there. When you got the best player in the country, you got a shot. And they have 7 starters, and they got the best player in the country.
Yeah, but defense wins games, and
it does.
If they haven't done it up to this point, the only reason they've done it because they're all they're good players, but they haven't done it to the level where you can say, man, they have Luka Garza and they play defense, and that's why everyone or that's why it's been their question mark the whole year, is that's what they're missing. And that's going to be their Achilles heel come tournament time. They're going to come across against a team that is going to have multiple guards that can get to the basket, and then it's going to be a wrap. That's what I think. I don't think they make it past the Sweet 16.
Wow.
That's just my opinion.
We'll see what the draw is.
But the player that I would love to see in the NCAA tournament, and we're not going to be able to see him, is the freshman, Oklahoma State.
Oh, I think we're going to.
You think so?
Yeah, I don't think that appeal's going to come down. I think we're going to see him.
I hope so.
We're going to see Kate Cunningham.
Because that kid, 6'8" guard, who can play multiple positions, court vision like no other, basketball IQ, 20 points per game, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. This dude had 40 the other night. And he had 40 one night.
Oh, I can't wait to watch him. I can't.
Turns around and says, you know what? I'm not going to get 40 tonight. I'm just going to be a regular player, distribute, get 15. As long as you get the W, I'm fine with it. I'm going number 1, and that's it. I love how he plays. So I hope we get to see the freshman of the year play.
There's our 5 things from both of us. March Madness just around the corner. You got to foul at the field of 68. Goodman and Hummel, Douster and Deshaun, Demetris, and a splash of Fanta. We're with you.
Yes,
We're with you throughout this March, and we can't wait to be with you. Thanks to our producer, Pranav, for everything. And we want to thank our sponsor again, Bet River Sportsbook. Here is a message with more info. Let me tell you guys a little bit about our partners over at Bet River Sportsbook. If you haven't signed up with Bet Rivers yet, now's the time. Bet River Sportsbook is offering a $250 match bonus for your first deposit, but what sets them apart is that they require just one playthrough to turn your bonus into cash money. When you win at Bet River Sportsbook, they pay fast. And now it's even faster with Rush Pay instant approval for withdrawals. It's safe, it's secure, it's reliable. With March Madness right around the corner, there's never been a better time to give Bet Rivers Sportsbook a try. Go to betrivers.com today or download the Bet Rivers iOS app. Must be 21 years or older. Gambling problem? You can call 1-800